Well, hello everybody, and welcome back in bed with the fitness industry. I'm super pleased to be joined by someone who I miss seeing because it was one of the gifts of moving back to Montreal is some of the incredible yoga teachers and wonderful, generous people that I met when I first moved here is the incredible Selena Isles, who's joining us today to share with us how she's been doing as a teacher, as a mom, as a performer, as a DJ, as a coach, etc., etc., and let us know how things are going on her end. So thank you so much for joining us, Selena.
You're welcome. Welcome. It's fun to be in bed.
You said that you do end up spending nights in that room from time to time, yes?
I do. I do. Yeah. For those of you that ever join me blasting in from wherever, the teal room, there are times when I'm actually on the floor, or there's a really nice kind of like psychologist old school couch beside me that I kind of just, I kind of take a side angle and I'm like, oh, and then that turns into an hour or two. And
Hours
then
of rest and recovery and whatever you need on there.
yeah, rest is recovery. Rest is actually quite radical. To actually book in time in your day to take a
Mm,
nap and say, yeah, I'm not answering the phone. You can't call me at this time. Like creating boundaries around
mm.
your rest is actually quite radical. Radical
And
action.
And when you work where you live, wouldn't that radicalness be needed? Because otherwise, how do you ever separate it? There's no more work and home space for most of us, right? So it's all like in one blend.
Well, you see, it is kind of all in one. Well, in the beginning,
Yeah.
of the COVID, of the pandemic experience, I was like homeschooling and, they were like, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, right. Okay. 2 weeks, my ass. So I got really into like getting proper time management. Somewhere in my mind, I'm like, oh, I need proper time management. And somewhere in my mind, I also forgot, like, hey, you know what, Selena, you've kind of prepared for this way of life forever because there is no certain, like, you're in the fitness industry, there's no certainty for us ever. Like,
Mm,
unless you're rocking, like, you're part of an association or you're working, like, let's say inside of a giant company that has a fitness facility, then
mm,
you're guaranteed a certain amount of certainty. You go in at night, you have a class at whatever time, and your people that book in, and it's yay. But
mm.
if you're like you and or I won't speak for you because my God, let me stay in my lane. There is no certainty, and doubly so because I'm also a DJ and a producer. So that, wow. So this kind of reality I was prepared for.
Mm.
But in the beginning, I jumped on and I was like, oh man, I got to get some time management. I'm working from home. I have my son. And at the time I was living in my parents' house. So I'm navigating to one person who's been retired for 2 years, my dad, shout out to my dad. And then my mom, super fiery, but now forced into retirement due to COVID, and then realizing, you know what, I'm 67, like I can kind of let it go. And I'm like, you should have let it go a long time ago, but okay.
Ah.
Right. So she's very busy. So now I have these two people who one is super chill and the other one's like, okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to take that wall down and we're going to move a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm trying to, be online doing yoga and then the school thing. So right? Um, welcome to the West Indian household, friends. Right. And then my sister, my brother-in-law live downstairs. So my sister has like she works for Crow and Barker, like a super marketing company, very serious 9 to 5.
Mm.
He's zooming in and out. He's a painter, so he's got his things going on. And at that time, I was like, okay, of all these people, I need to be the one that's organized. Bad idea. Bad idea. I drove myself crazy for 40 days. And then I was like, no, this is like, no. And coincidentally, at those 40-day mark was the George Floyd, there was
Mm.
Breonna Taylor, there was all of that going on. So it's kind of like a buildup to like, let's break. And of course, Orange Crush, aka Donald Trump, aka the impeached did, because it's happening right now. I was
Mm.
also like, all of that was happening. So it was a very interesting time for me to try and kind of get with the program and then realize really quickly within 40 days that the program actually never worked. And I've been prepared for this for a while. So Let's see how can I make this work for me? That was my
Mm.
thinking. Like, how can I make this situation work for me? And that thinking actually comes in when you're at the bottom of the food chain. So literally and figuratively, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's, I mean, because it's always been go from like, putting in yoga teacher training and yoga classes and the production and everything else, and then, Wanderlust and all of that as gigs, if we qualify them that. It was kind
Yeah.
of like gigs and then everything in between, and then a gig and then everything in between.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the structure has been um, incredibly variable, so you would have an ability to flow much better in
Yeah.
uncertainty, because that adaptation might have just been faster, not necessarily easier, but just a
Yeah.
little bit faster. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so the fact that not only did that all happen, but it also all went digitally,
Hmm.
and being someone who, having had the pleasure of connecting with you in person, who connects really well with people, how was that transition? I know when you create music, it's been digital, but when you're DJing in person and live and all of that, and when you're teaching and teacher training and that, how has the 100% of that gone digital worked for you?
I've actually being very shy. The digital space creates a boundary, creates a liminal space, right? And I exist really well in liminal spaces, like
Mm,
in between two things, right? Think of like a mortar and a pestle, kind of
yeah.
where they meet is that space where I exist. And so moving from the live experience to how can I actually do this in that liminal space? Like, I'm not there, I'm not touching you, you're not hearing the music, I'm not spraying
Mm,
Florida Rada everywhere, I'm not making well, I am making inappropriate jokes, yes,
probably.
for the scene.
Probably.
So yeah, so it really is happening, folks. And I'm swearing. So how do I take who I am and
Mm,
now exist in this liminal space with the added protection of this boundary, right? That keeps
mm,
me away from you. How do I give you back your autonomy? That was my thinking. Like, we're so
hmm,
used to going to the yoga studio and I'm right there and there's, perfect, like, I'm adjusting, when I know you and there are different things happening, you're seeing me,
mm.
you're in my actual subtle energy body.
Yeah.
How do I create that at a distance and actually give you back authority over yourself? Like, you actually, within the first couple of weeks, I was telling people, you actually don't need me. What
Mm,
has happened is our dependency on yoga studios has taken away what yoga really is, right? It has taken away
mm.
what the practice is. You think it's normal to go into a room with 20, 30 people in very expensive L branded clothing
Yeah.
and very expensive mats. And often there's a lot of very interesting smells. And we have normalized that. And that normalization came to the fitness industry, which is not the fitness industry's fault. It's just when yoga came here in the 60s and 70s and people wanted to be certified,
Mm,
they had to find a way to be able to do that. So they
mm,
created this mass culture towards herding and grouping and
mm,
removing autonomy from the person, right? As an athlete, as a previous athlete, it was normal for me to understand how to work out by myself because my coach would be like, yo, like, you didn't get those reps in yet. You're supposed to be on the fucking track. Like, get your shit together, Isles.
mm,
So I already have that autonomy. And so now thinking, while I'm existing in a liminal space, how do I actually pump people up and really convince them now, after many years of needing me that I didn't convince them they needed, that you actually don't. And the
mm,
practice actually works more. I would talk about yoga. I can't speak to fitness because I
mhm,
do my friend Audra's classes and I'm on the floor like, okay, I'm done. But how do I actually do that? Give you that autonomy, give you that independence, give you that like highly intentional, purposeful action that you can do because you're not attached to the outcome anymore of like 20 other people and what they look like. You're
mm.
attached to how do I refine this for myself and do this safely and consciously and mindfully, without her being there. Because if I
Yeah.
fall down, she's not fucking there, you
No,
know. But if I follow my own house, it's kind of more comfortable, kind of safe. This is my space. This is me. I
that's
can
the
be,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a conversation I've been having with some of my coaching clients who are fitness professionals trying to move towards the digital space, and I'm like, first of all, let's not call them Zoom classes. Let's not call them even virtual or digital. I would call them at home.
Mhm.
And there's a totally different perspective, which is like from my house to yours.
Mhm.
Really, that's what it is. There's a privilege to be able to help them in certain ways, create a space. Because do we not, oh my God, need that space, considering the fact we're not leaving our homes, a
Yeah.
space where we can practice. Like, not a space where we can perform, not a space where we can raise children and do this and everything else, but a space where we can practice. And so I love that concept of it. It's at home training. It's not necessarily digital training, it's just at home training. The way we're getting there is thanks to the environment of what digital formats offer us now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting. Very cool. Speaking of some of the stuff you talked about, it was what was going on during those 40 days. I know that when it comes to societal issues and systemic societal issues, I'm noticing that some people are getting really comfortable in the format and talking about and discussing it and just, being a part of the solution, and being and doing all these things. And other people shy away from it. Other people try for a little bit and then don't. Other people are like, okay, I'll put the black box on my Instagram and then don't. And there's fear a lot of doing the wrong thing, of saying the wrong thing. There's fear of asking too many questions, not asking enough questions, and these kinds of things. It seems like for you, the potential risk of how it could affect your career either wasn't relevant or was overcome really simply and authentically. How would you help other people understand how they can make it an integral part, whatever social justice issues matter to them, how they can make it an integral part of who they are, and both in their personal and professional lives?
Wow. You know what? As I spoke earlier, being at the bottom of the food chain,
Mm,
figuratively, like in yoga, even though yoga came from India, let's be clear.
mm,
Um, it was a day of breaking where I just got to the point, and every Black woman could speak to this, where you're just like, yo, I'm fucking tired. And my face, the people that are watching this face
mm,
was that face. Like, I'm just tired. Like, what the? And it became a question of, I've never shied away from, I've been Black since 1979, folks. Like, that ain't changing anytime soon.
mm,
And I've always, I mean, my DJ name, DJ Serious Black. I mean, like, and I've been very privileged to grow up around very strong Afro, Latin, Black, Indian people that were like, no, yo, and taking from their example, leaving their home and coming here at ages when you're not doing that,
mm,
you're probably playing Xbox. I took from that. I was like, what kind of fear did you overcome just to come into the unknown? And
mm,
so, because I am here on the privilege of your hard work, I like keeping my mouth quiet because I'm afraid to, and for a long time for BIPOC, and I'll speak to myself as Black, Afro, Latin, South Asian, hashtag Kamala Harris. Uh,
mm.
that's my high school. Person, woman, you get to the point where you're like, I am just really tired. And I'm tired of editing myself, checking myself, making sure you're not uncomfortable, not doing anything too wild, and then watching you all emulate me and get paid a lot of fucking money for doing that. And
Mm.
it was that, like, okay, yo. And then really
Okay.
thinking to myself, like, Selena, you're legendary. This is just what it is. And there's going to be a time and place where you're either going to decide that staying silent is complacency and you want to do that. However, if you really are one that teaches, I'll just use the Bhagavad Gita it's a really great book, folks. You can
Mhm.
actually read the Peaceful Warrior.
Mm.
Same. Um, if you actually are one that's going around saying, you need to take a step back and really look at the big picture in order to perform like high skill set without any expectation to the results, you're going to remove yourself from all of that, because what people think and what they say and how they feel about you is actually none of your business. What your business is right now is reclaiming your rest, reclaiming your time, reclaiming your resources, and actually putting yourself out there as you always have, serving yourself to your community. Like, hey, you guys are fucking up, and you're fucking up hard, and you've done it to me, and you have, and I dare you to come up against this black hole, literally, and kind of playing with that, knowing that, hey, this point in time, this is my time, and this is the time that I will need to show people how to treat me. It really came down to, I need to show you how to
Mm,
treat me, because clearly you don't understand, you don't know, and your privilege allows you to stay quiet. Your privilege also allows you to be like, well, I don't know. And then let's say want to put the black square up,
mm,
right? Or like have someone take over your Instagram
mm,
for the very one drop like
mm,
actions,
mm,
as opposed to like doing some research and like talking about it, and you've got your trainings or your fitness things, and not highlighting, oh yeah, I got a BIPOC person here. It's like, no, they're here because they actually are fucking amazing and they should be there, and that's just what it is. But unfortunately, that's not what we've been putting out there. So it's really to
mm,
be as introspective with the self, and not like, yeah, you're not going to know what to say. And yeah, everyone's like, oh, I'm so scared of saying the wrong thing because of
mhm,
cancel culture and
mhm,
all out culture, and all that hits the fitness industry hard, because a lot of our business is like making people happy. The people that are listening, they're like, what'd she do? She was quiet. I had the McDonald's smile. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of our business is that. A lot of our business is making people feel comfortable
mm,
in their fuckery, while kind of like holding their hand, service the accompaniment, to
mm.
find their way back. So it's basically what the Black woman has been doing forever, is like making you feel comfortable around your fuckery, and then kind of being like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna put the band-aid on and take it off really gently, as opposed to take the band-aid off yourself, put the
Mm.
peroxide on, and let's talk.
Let's talk.
And that's the
Thank.
authentic way. It was really just finding, because if I came up with the yoga, okay, we're gonna talk about anti-racism and the fact that, like, I haven't shown you guys how to treat me. That's so not me.
No.
Like, it's not who I am. I'm wearing my pajamas today. I wore my pajama shirt, even though I said I sleep in the nude. It says Poetic Justice. Shout out Janet Jackson, Tupac. Right on. Right on. Those of you that don't know, our she's got some silk jammies on. I'm up in here with a Poetic Justice t-shirt and some Fat Farm sweats. So
I thought I'd slip something a little extra. I mean, it's the week, we're filming this the week before Valentine's Day, so I'm
I know,
trying.
I like
Putting
it.
something
Yeah,
out
it's
there,
great.
making myself feel extra sexy and silky,
Hey,
for a week that I can try and keep it hot and bothered in the place if I can this week. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for doing it in a way that helps us understand it. I mean, we see it on social media, but really, I don't care how many Instagram stories, 8-second Instagram stories we watch. It's always different than hearing it from the voice,
mhm.
from, not beginning to end, but as a complete thought. So I appreciate you sharing that with me.
I feel
Tell me,
like I want to
oh,
just, before you ask the next question, I feel like, just in case the listener, okay,
yeah.
you gotta feel like a BIPOC person is obviously going to be upset, and you can't soothe that. You can't come in and be the white savior to upsetness.
Hmm.
You can't even offer to hold space, because you don't know what that space is. What you can do is
Mm,
you just be like, you know what, I'm I'm open. I'm
mm,
open to feedback, and I'm immune to criticism. So whatever, if you can take that stance, and it's hard as fuck to take that stance. Oh
mm,
shit! Like, I'm open to feedback and immune to criticism, means that you're sitting there for some real truth. Honestly, and the anger is not like, the way I put it for myself and my friends, because I have friends. I have a lot of white friends. My husband's white. Like, fuck, um, it's not. It's own your impacts and understand the only ownership you have are your actions. So if your actions are less than rosy, you got to own that. You can't sweep it under the rug with a black square.
mm.
That's authenticity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say it again about the feedback. Say that thought again.
Okay. Here's what it is in the
Yes.
non-yoga voice.
Yes.
You want to put yourself in a place where you're open to feedback,
Open to feedback,
immune to criticism.
immune to criticism. Thank you, Selena. Tell us a little bit about so you've talked about, the radicalness of the rest. You've talked about how you're organizing your time in an authentic way that makes sense for you, your family, your needs, and everything else. looking forward to what's coming up? What's some of the stuff that excites you? What are some of the things that how are you choosing essentially your partners, potentially your employers, potentially your clients, your projects? What's that filter look like for you at this point in time?
Oh, wow. Okay, that filter is very discerning. I
Mm,
have to feel it. And forever and a day, I've always run my business,
mm,
any business, on intuition. Like, I put up a meme once that said, "Sis, your intuition said what she said. Believe that." That's real talk.
mm,
It's
mm,
really, I look at, I want to see who's employed, who's working for you. How do they feel about working for you? But
mm,
when I was the face for Lole, I was all up in head office all the time, talking to people, understanding things. I was in people's family lives, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to represent this brand that says
mm,
live out loud every day, I
mm,
want to make sure that the people that work there, that are actually making these clothes that I'm wearing, are actually have the opportunity and the wherewithal to live out loud every day. So
mm,
I'm really looking at, what are you doing for the people that are putting you where you are? That's what I look at. What are you doing for those people? Like, that's why I give free classes for anybody that's basically a community hero. If you're a doctor, nurse, you're my cashier at the DEP, you're my person at the grocery, you get to take my classes for free. Someone else is going to pay for you because you're saving lives. And so that's what
mm,
I look at when I look at partnerships,
mm,
uh, sponsorships, even just collaborations. It's
mm.
like, how are you impacting? And what are you doing with that? That's important.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What are your moments of gratitude as we look to where 2021 goes? So again, we're shooting this just around mid-February. What are the things that you're grateful for that you're looking forward to in the months to come?
Oh my God. Wow. Hey, you know what? To lead a legendary life,
Hmm.
right? Is to really, okay. So when I get up, like I'm in like sleep haze, like, oh, I'm kind of waking up, which is my usual dance. Um, I go right into like a mode of like, okay, what am I grateful for right now? Like, who or what? Like, let me give some serious thanks here,
Hmm.
because I am very privileged to be where I am at. And there was a lot of universe divine intervention that went in there. I just want to do that. And then I go into meditation. And then, so I always have started with, like, they coined the term, an attitude of gratitude. I even used to do the gratitude jar. Like, I write things every night for a year and put it in a jar. And then I've got like 12 jars. And I opened some the other day and I was like, wow,
Nice.
okay, that's cool.
That's
Uh,
fun.
and so if you really look at like Pima Chodron, Osho, love Osho. Who's the other dude I like to chill with and listen to? David G. There's quite a Tracy Stanley. They all take, to have a legendary life requires grace and gratitude
Hmm.
and forgiveness, right?
Hmm.
All the time. And it's very hard to do those things all the time, because when someone cuts you off in traffic, you are not grateful. Although no one's been cutting off lately because we have like a curfew and we don't go anywhere. So I mean,
There's
but like,
other things. There's other things.
there's
But yeah.
other things. So it really adopting that attitude of like being super grateful for the little things. So right off the
Mm,
bat, my
mm,
son and my husband, my partner, yeah, right there. Like
mm,
those guys, man, like they got to deal with me. Black hole, like the beautiful disaster black hole. Wow, like totally awesome. It doesn't mean they don't get on my fucking nerves.
mm,
Does not mean that. But when they're not around, I can
mm,
feel it.
mm,
My mom and my dad, my younger sister, those are like the direct. And when I think about who I'm grateful for right now,
mm,
Lorraine, who jumped in on the call before because we've been together for years. Wow. Um, and then like, a big thing I've been really reflecting on is I am very, very grateful to be able to do the work that I do the way that I want to do it on
mm,
my terms every
mm,
day. That's like my big, like, like, thank you, Swadhisthana Chakra, for like helping us manifest this and birth this into life, because
Mm,
it's going and it is. So that's my big one. And then gratitude for the word, because spelling is a spell. And if you know how to use words properly in phases, you actually do author your life every single day. You just don't realize that you've done it. Because
mm,
it takes, from the time something comes out of your mouth, like if you
mm.
think, like, you're a marketer, like you're one of those smart marketing people that does all the smart stuff and knows all the trends and all those things. And I'm just like, I don't know, analytics, I don't know. That sounds good. Like, from the time you have an idea to like the birthing of the idea, there's what I think is like 5 steps or 6 steps or something
Mm,
like that. Like someone had the smart person that had the theory about that. It's same thing with authoring your life. The moment you say something, like, they say in the Bible, and it was the word, and the word was God. The moment you say something, it's alive. And the intention behind whatever you say denotes whether that thing is going to take life now or in the future now. So really
mm,
being grateful for the word and then understanding how to use it,
mm,
trusting your intuition, and all of that is because I have a grateful meditation practice that makes me a better fucking human being to deal with. Let me tell you.
mm.
Let me tell you.
I appreciate, I hear and appreciate, and will hold my own personal space and invite others to do so for the simple concept of authoring your life and what that means in the words, like you said, the thoughts, the words that you say to yourself, the relationship you have with yourself, and thereby the relationship you have with others. Just the concept of authoring your life at a time where everything feels completely uncontrollable.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
concept of authoring your life, I think, warrants for us to hold space for that and reflect on that. So thank you so much for sharing that and giving us opportunities to connect with you, to know more about you, and to reflect on lots of stuff you talked about today. And I look forward to seeing you, connecting with you digitally, in person, whatever we can do. And very much thank you for your time and your incredible generosity, as always, from the day you and I met. And I'm just going to finish on that. The day you and I met, me walking around the yoga show, having just moved to Montreal, trying to find my people,
Yeah.
my places, or anything else, and you literally, and a friend of mine introduced me to you, and you literally were like, just come with me. And we sat down, and you're like, so what do you like? And before we even got into like the professional conversation, you're like, come to the studio, we'll have tea. And
Yep.
from that, those first few words out of your mouth, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be good. I'm
Yeah.
going to be good, because there was, do you know what I mean? And so that's how my yoga was, reborn in Montreal, in a place that I love, but I hadn't shared that with either taking, giving, sharing, training, practicing, or anything else. So that was really, really just that come by, we'll have tea.
Hmm.
Simple gesture was really meaningful to me. And so I'll always be grateful for that, Selena. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're super welcome. It's funny. Lorraine had asked me, she's like, how do you know her? And I was like, we met at the Yoga Expo show. And I was like, just come to the studio have tea, because it makes so much more sense to do that. And then she's like, yeah. And then I was like, yeah. And then I think I told her to replace me, or I was like, yeah, I'm going to hire you as a sub. And I think that was about it. And I was like, I just
Okay.
liked you. I just, intuition said what she said, believe that. And now we're here in bed.
And you were in bed. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you a wonderful winter, and sending lots of healthy vibes and love to you and your family.
Thanks so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.